Hello there, today is in Cartoon Breaking News, the highlights of this channel. They're actually showing when the new Amphibia book is coming out. And also, next highlight is basically Jackie Chan and Toriyama actually knew each other. And third, the most highlight of this Cartoon Breaking News is the fact they have Harold and the color purple adaptation becoming live action. And fans are not happy. In fact, it's something more weirder coming up later on. But besides that, it's really a slow news day or slow news week, in other words. In fact, this is the first time on my channel. My name is Recho. I do like to talk about animation, not just animation, reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories. If I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, if you like what is going, you like to help my channel, just put a like, comment, and subscribe. One of the things that really help my channel, because how obvious small I am, I'm basically 800 some subscribers, getting close to 900. Thanks to all the people who like, comment, and subscribe. And a little bit really helps my channel, and thank you if you do. If you didn't, that's fine too. That's cool. Just watching it, just good enough. But besides that, let's start the first cartoon news. Now let's talk about the first segment of this news, specifically Kazoku articles that I'm gonna talk a lot of because they right now on the hot streak. And one of the best articles talk about how Jackie Chan and the GOAT of the Toriyama, aka the creator of DBZ, actually knew each other. In fact, Jackie Chan was a huge fan of Toriyama's work, specifically Dr. Slump. He actually bought the rights to actually be sort of cameo a costume of one of the characters of Dr. Slump in a movie called My Little Star or something like that. That's sort of how rough translation. But he just cameo. He doesn't direct it. He just sort of produced this sort of movie, in other words. And believe me, I've seen the movie. It's really kind of fun. It's not a Jackie Chan film. It's just a normal agent sort of film. He just sort of reappears and produce. But that's basically it. But it really shows how well known Toriyama really is and how beloved his work really is. In fact, different generations and different regions of the world, and how much respect you have for the GOAT. Let's face it, the man touched a lot of people's own culture and reflected back to him. That's how much love he really got. And it's just sort of a good start with the sort of slow news a week, because let's face it, the rest of the news, it's okay. It's not nothing huge to talk about, but we'll go through it when you see what I mean, sort of slow. But besides that, you knew about Jackie Chan and Toriyama sort of kind of friendship. They know they used to like each other, their own work. But besides that, let's talk about the next article. Now, this probably be a small news statement. I'm sorry, I'm a little stuttery right now. We gotta talk about regular Capital Twitter account. This account is very reliable of animation news, and every time they talk about something, it's sort of interesting. One of them actually is how Max and G Kids make another deal of Miyazaki films, or aka a Studio Ghibli type of library, still staying on Max. But interestingly enough, this sort of deal about to end. But because Miyazaki won the award of the Oscars, they want to redo the deal for another couple more years. Didn't say how many years exactly, but it says between 5 or 10 years. Usually that is sort of the safe number, in other words. Let's say 10 years for right now. But besides that, I feel that's sort of interesting because how Max, or aka Warner Brothers, is sort of destroying animation, everything on their own sort of company. It's sort of ironic they're trying to buy more animation or keep animation into basically mainstream. It's sort of ironic, in other words. But besides that, it's sort of kind of interesting. Be prepared for a Miyazaki new film come out. I think I remember right, next month. I think in April. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's sort of understand why they want to do this contract really fast, because this film of Miyazaki will actually be watched constantly, because how you sort of reinterpret the film of Miyazaki, because it's sort of his more artsy film, is one of those that I have to rewatch it. But to be fair, I have not yet seen it, but it will drop in Max. I probably will seen it. I don't know if I can do a review about it, but I'm just gonna see what's up with this film. But besides that, let's talk about the next segment. Now, Culture Grave kind of destroyed the cartoon community when he says Bob DeMeo actually was fired from X-Men 97. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy who's sort of the showrunner of X-Men 97. That he was fired a week before the X-Men premiere. It's just sort of a shocking move that Disney did this, that I'm surprised it didn't hold up after the premiere or after the first season, sort of quietly fire him. That's probably the more smartest move, not like right now. Only reason why they got fired, at least in speculation, that is the project is that terrible, or maybe he has some differences with some of the writers, or he just doesn't like the direction was it's going. We don't know, but there's a lot of rumors why he was actually fired. And probably we never find out why he was fired. It's just sort of kind of shocking that this soon to the premiere was a very bad move from Disney. It's something like, why you do that? Right now, the only thing they cause is sort of question the project, less people to actually want to try X-Men 97. And just sort of kind of mind-blowing. In fact, everybody is talking about this little incident, why he was fired. Honestly, be truthful, we probably never know why. It's because contracts, like, you're not allowed to say anything for some sort of period time, like between 5 to 10 years. So we would find out that long with the mail actually talks about why he was fired. Partly for no reason, or partly is for a good reason, we just don't know. In fact, this will affect you watching X-Men 97 or not, or just don't care. I still gotta watch to see is any good, especially if you're a fan of X-Men 97. I honestly got nothing else to say. Let's talk about the next segment. Today's segment probably focus on a new indie project, not semi-new, that their project really sent on you to the first episode, called Mall Wizard, created by Aster Bubbly, that he is now working on the second episode of Mall Wizard, that I kind of recommend watch this kind of web series because the first episode is funny. I did watch it, but I never did a review because I couldn't say anything unique about it because how short to the point really is. It's one of those kind of 2-3 minute kind of episodes that you just enjoy what it really is. If you never heard Mall Wizard is basically is what is the title says. It's a wizard in a mall who works in a Hot Topic, but he's sort of out of place. He doesn't know what to do. He freaks out where things actually happen because he's a wizard and he can't stop using his magic, working in sort of a rip-up Hot Topic. And that's basically the project sort of kind of gag. That sort of joke that actually kind of works. I mean, it's sort of funny, but also I love the animation, how traditional sort of kind of 2D really is. It captured that sort of 2000 kind of vibe. In fact, that's what the creator kind of meant the show to be, that sort of 2000 kind of vibe animation. And it actually worked pretty well. But of course, you can't say much because this first episode is just sort of introducing the characters. And something I do recommend because it is good. And also, you always should support your indie brethren and sisters who trying to make their own anime series, because once again, I have to start a broken record, support your indie projects so Hollywood realize what we actually want in the adult market of animation. Just saying, or not to be adult animation, just animation in general, what people actually want, because we're kind of tired just doing reboots or prequels. Sometimes we just want something original and different, like Mall Wizard, that it seems a very good idea for at least 2-3 season type of show if ever get picked up. But besides that, I still recommend it, especially the new poster. They actually showed you what the sort of the vibe of the show is, and the poster looks pretty great. It really captures what is the show, and I just sort of recommend it. The first episode on YouTube if you want to see it. All of that. I have one question. Did you actually seen the show or have you heard of it? Tell me down below. Let me know. Let's talk about the next segment. Now, this segment is a little bit weird because this is from Nick Live. This is a website inspired by Nickelodeon. I think they actually own this website or this news website, but this new website is very reliable. Everything sort of Nickelodeon they do mention here on this website, but it's something that one of the articles grabbed my attention is the fact they attempted to do a hotel theme on Nickelodeon. And the fact it's not the first time they actually do this. This is sort of The second time, if I'm correct, the first time was, I think it was the 2000s, early 2000 or late 90s. I'm not really sure exact decade, but it's between those two decades. But besides that, that was sort of kind of ramped down over the years. It got closed. In fact, that one sort of was very interesting, the original one, and then attempted to recapture magic and trying to make this work once again with a new place called Orlando that they wanted to replace there. I think the original one was there also, but how they're pitching it is sort of like a normal hotel with every little theme with Nickelodeon characters walking around in the hotel. But the only problem is this hotel doesn't feel like Nickelodeon. It has sort of the theming, but it feels very restrictive, very business-like. Because I think I remember right, I'm not 100% sure, the original had more fun little things, but even that, even the original hotel of Nickelodeon feels started to become more corporate, more, oh yeah, here's some color, some splash, but never feels that sort of kind of funness of Nickelodeon, that sort of kind of artistic kind of fun words. And you see the original or back 90s or early 2000s, Nickelodeon used to be very fun, kind of cartoony, very creative. And this new hotel of Nickelodeon, when you see the images, if I put the images right now, that doesn't feel creative enough. It doesn't feel like Nickelodeon. It just feels just sort of a business, sort of normal hotel. Just the colors just sort of feel off. Oh, been known, this article do states that this is sort of the beginning stages. This is maybe what it looks like in the near future. Right now, they put in all the paperwork to actually bring this so they can actually build it. But it's something that I'm sort of shocked they actually want to try this again. I guess they backing off Last Avatar, the animated movie, to be popular, so they can use that, or SpongeBob, or any other cartoon they actually have. But it's one of those, like, it just feels just sort of corporate. It doesn't feel creative enough. I'm not kind of bashing on the architect. It's that you have a theme about Nickelodeon. You understand they have to be sort of the safety regulations, but it just feels more like why? Like, why do this if you don't have anything creative, something fun or over the top? I think some of the art of what may look like that can easily be changed in the near future, but it's something that I just find it a little weird, a little bit interesting. I don't know, you found this sort of news statement interesting or not, or you've heard of Nickelodeon Hotel before, because it's sort of a legendary in the cartoon community, because every time they make a hotel of a cartoon like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, always come with a tragedy in a way, because sort of kind of sad that people who go there, they have fun and they explain they have a sort of a very terrible time, in other words. But hopefully this gets better. Maybe they change some designers, because once again, it's still the beginning stages. It's just made what it looks like. We don't know if it's gonna change in the near future, but it sort of give you an idea. Of course, you enjoyed this sort of statement. Do you care? Do you not? Or you remember the original Nickelodeon Hotel? Tell me down below. Let me know. Let's talk about the next segment. Now, this segment kind of surprised me, because Kazuka, the sort of news article of just animation, usually they talk about Japanese, Chinese, or European cartoon sort of news. And today they actually focus on a new project that had been developed for a couple of years, in fact, called Hinduri, that is basically translated to a right-hand person or lefty or something like that, that is based on a sort of true person in Japan who he used to be known as a great, a skilled artist who probably built puppets in a Edo period, but nobody really knows he was a real person or a fake person. And that sort of lead a lot of speculation of all his work that we don't know that's his work or not. But people attach Hinduri to that specific sort of puppet or project he did back in the Edo period. But because of that sort of myth and legend of the artist, the director of sorry, give me a second, Misuke, he actually wanted to make a movie, but sort of a very original take on this sort of a myth. that he wanted to make sort of puppetry, sort of claymation, stop motion, sort of art style using Hindui's work as sort of an entry point of this project. In fact, he did a Kickstarter, and this Kickstarter was sort of successful, but it wasn't like a lot of money. It's just enough to actually make the project to understand what he's trying to do. In fact, he intended to do the 5-minute sort of pilot so he can make the movie. In fact, they barely put the trailer on Kasuka website, but you also can find on Twitter. Yeah, I think you can also find it on YouTube if you want. Just type Hindura on the channel, and you get sort of a minute trailer of the movie. And the movie, or at least the 1-minute demo trailer, was amazing. This sort of puppetry really shows you what this movie is about. Of course, the pitch of this movie is basically very simple. It's basically Hindura who wants sort of revenge, who cut his arm off and kills his father, building a sort of temple or sort of kind of shogun castle, in other words. But he sort of knows who did it, but he wasn't sure. So he sort of traveled around Japan looking for this specific person who actually did him wrong, in other words. But once again, using sort of puppets from Hindura original work, sort of doing a action revenge sort of story. Sounds very basic, but this is the reason why they decided to make it sort of puppetry, because they're telling you a little bit different, something unique and out. And you know what? You see the trailer of this movie, it will blow your mind. It's just like, wow, this is cinema. That's the way best to describe it, because the trailer, this just 1-minute trailer, just sort of blow up. It's just so amazing that I'm so surprised that no one yet given the money just do this film. I mean, wow, the artistry of this puppetry just incredible. And something that I do one thing recommend, drop this right now and just go watch the trailer. Just the trailer itself, just the first 10 or 50 seconds, you'll be completely sold. It's that incredible. It's just so well made. Even this just a minute trailer, because they gotta basically release the pilot 5-minute to show you what the director wanted to do in the movie. Hopefully be popular enough to get picked out and make it in Japan or even in the West, because this thing is just pure art. It's almost like anime, but a puppetry form, but stop motion. Sounds weird, but it works amazing. That they was sort of cooking for a long time to make this film, and it shows. It feels they took a lot of thought, a lot of time to make this work. That I recommend it. It's something I wanted to talk about, at least make you aware this thing is coming out. At least the 5-minute trailer or pilot. Hoping they drop it soon. In the article, they never really explain when. I think they're still not done doing the 5-minute pilot. It's just sort of hyping enough when it's ready to drop the 5 minutes. If it did drop it, I probably would talk about it or review it, because it's just that good, that amazing. But besides that, when you actually think about this new anime sort of stop motion thing, you ever heard of it or not? Tell me down below, let me know. Nothing else to say, let's talk about the next segment. Of course, another one from Kasuka called Well Island, a new anime series from China that basically a bunch of bunny hunters who are trying to escape their own sort of kind of in denial, in other words. But that's all we kind of know. I don't think the article states that's sort of a web series based on a music video, based on a comic. This is sort of like a universe of other shows in other universes, in other words. Think of it sort of like Marvel universe, in other words. But besides that, I've seen the trailer, and the trailer is pretty tight. It feels something, how to describe the whole trailer of this show. It feels something like Cyberpunk with Rick and Morty sort of type of humor. At least that's how it feels to me. I don't know, you've seen this or you know about this, tell me down below if you know more, because the website doesn't go in that detail. It just talked about just, oh, this is just based on the web series, and that's it. So the only thing is just showing the art, the trailer, and it looks pretty good. I mean, to me, because if you don't know, Chinese animations usually struggle to give out of China. Even Chinese people are not really impressed. Usually struggle for a long, long time. And that's because they don't know what they're doing. They do. It's all about politics. Yeah, if you know what's going on in the last 34 years in China, you'll understand why they never really go beyond what they actually have. In fact, that was sort of the complaint of animators from China. They're not allowed to make their own cartoons because that wasn't not the focus, because that wasn't the what the government wanted to do at that time. Nowadays they do. Now they actually pushing it hard because the last couple of years, China they come out at least once or twice a year something really good like Caesar 7 or Killer 7, depends where you are, the name changes, and other different Chinese anime being the level of that one. Like, really fun out there, kind of creatively, because they want to impress, they want to pick up what they left off. And this one feels exactly like that. It feels they're really pushing it. They really want to make this a hit. Hoping it is, hoping it does translate at least the sub or dub. And you heard about it. You know what this is. Tell me, is it any good on the web series? I got nothing else to say. Let's talk about the next segment. Now, this will probably be a quickie news segment from, again, Kazuka is now reporting all around Latin America. Fans are going in sort of kind of middle of the whole town giving tribute of the death of the creator of DBC, Akira Toriyama. That was something never was planned, it just sort of happened, and you think, well, that's nothing really special, but yet it really is, because the creator of DBZ hit that sort of story level only Latin America needed during that time. Because if you know all the history of all of Latin America, each one of us had in sort of problems that sort of time period. And out of nowhere, the Toriyama DBC sort of hit that sort of culture needed push, in other words. That's why sort of this man was applauded, because they needed this so badly. And it's the only one who actually delivered. This was sort of a not a tribute, it's almost a gratitude he made DBZ. That's how big and basically cultural impact it really was in Latin America. Because if you know your history of Latin America, specifically which region, because each one has its own little problem, but all of them sort of struggling to understand our self-identity for obvious different reasons. But because of Toriyama hits that spot so well in Dragon Ball Z, Goku, and the rest of the gang, it just sort of, we see you in other words. That's the best way to describe that feeling. That's why Latin America love or appreciate or affect in the Latin American culture so much they want to give tribute to thank to just seeing us in other words. Sounds weird, but if you know the Latin American culture, you kind of get it. If not, that's okay. Just sort of a interesting sort of conversation of this moment. But besides that, let's talk about the next segment. Now, for some reason I can't stop talking about the articles of Kazuka, because right now they're on fire of news of animation, specifically not one but two vinyl records of the original soundtrack of Puffy Cat and Nomoda. If you like the soundtrack of both of them, they're gonna come out, two of them on September, but they don't know which day. They're just reporting they could come out. If you're interested of the vinyl soundtrack of Demona and Puffy Cat. Just a FYI, if you're sort of interested of buying the vinyl, just remember it's on September, but they just don't know which day yet. But of course, the date could be changed later on, like always, just a FYI. All of that, let's talk about the next article. Now, Kazuna is reporting of this that Dan the Dan art be released on Netflix worldwide on October. Not exactly which day, but will drop on October. If you never heard Dan the Dan, it's a ride. It's something it's just so hard to explain. It's one of those things, and the manga sort of exploded because how weird and well executed it really is. To sum it up, it's like a guy and girl sort of arguing about one about ghosts who believe in ghosts, the other one who believe in aliens, and decide to sort of go to this sort of Pacific area that is sort of abandoned, and this area possibly these are some ghosts. The other one is sort of aliens. But on one part, both of them decide to go in this specific area, but one was chased by ghosts and the other one was chased by aliens, but vice versa. The one who believed in ghosts was chased by aliens, and the one who doesn't believe in ghosts, who believe in aliens, was chased by ghosts. Sounds weird, but yet it was just so well executed. Even that this new trailer shows how crazy it really is, that it just tipped of the iceberg. The very end, it's something that I just recommend. Just pick up the manga. You'd be sort of surprised how twist and turn and out there really is, but done a very well paced. At least, hopefully, the anime will push this well or well executed. The animation looks good. The trailer looks decent. Hopefully, it will drop and fully dub and sub in Netflix. In fact, you ever heard of this anime? You actually are excited or not? Because I am. I am truly excited. But hopefully it doesn't let down. Hopefully this be a really good anime. Hopefully. But because this is Netflix, 100% sure this anime become a cult hit because it's Netflix. In some reason, 80% or 60% of anime Netflix picks up became sort of a cult classic because nobody actually watches. For some apparent reason, I should make a top 10 best anime on Netflix because most of them, a good 80 or 70% of them, it's really good. It's so sort of shocking that people don't talk about some of them when I have on Netflix. After that, I got nothing else to say. Let's talk about the next news article. Now, our next segment that actually dropped a new film image of Harold in the color purple. That's basically based on a not coloring book, a sort of kid's book. This little kid actually has a crayon. Anything he draws comes to life. And that's the interesting part because they decided to adapt it to live action. And the weird part is they really attempted to adapt this back in 2010 with Sony decided to do a animated series. But that animated movie or series was sort of cancelled. In fact, Last Media, a Twitter account, showed some of the images of Sony, what it looked like in animation. Instead, it decided to be live action. And that's sort of weird, but at the same time, I guess this was sort of developed and held so long, they just didn't know what to do. It just didn't make sense or work. In fact, you see the post of the live action movie of Harold in the color purple, it just looks a little terrible. In fact, many movie fans actually tweeted out saying this looks like probably the worst film of the year. Even this movie not yet came out, not even promoted yet. It's just the poster says so much, and you compare to the Sony animation sort of kind of leaked images, what it looks like Harold and the color purple looks so much better. In fact, it makes more sense of the anime series. It feels more true to it and more creative. Just these two images they leaked out in their own Twitter page. It just sort of looks more believable, makes more sense. But the live action movie just feels so weird and empty. And you compare this to the animation leaked images of Harold. The leaked images look so much better and more interesting. But even that, it wasn't even done. You see the images right now. But just sort of weird. But this sort of happens if trying to adapt to a book to a movie. Sometimes you can't make it work. Sometimes the most cheapest way to do it could work, or they just have the rights about to be expired, screw it, make it live action, and decide to go this direction. Yeah, I'm 100% sure this is how it actually goes. Usually this is sort of normal because sometimes they have to make a choice to let it go or adapt it to live action. You just get whatever money you actually get. And that's basically it. It's just sort of weird. It's just sort of interesting to talk about. Even fans, I said it before, seen this, just don't like it. Even that is book is based on for little kids. They makes sense to make it an anime series, but no. But it was more. That's how it sometimes works. Besides that, what do you think of this image, this movie? Tell me down below. Let me know. Let's talk about the next segment. Now, this is from Deadline. They are now adapting a podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern. that right now they get near to the fifth season of this podcast. Now, this new anime series or the pocket, what it really is basically three different adventurers who follow the world of Fool. They actually do interviews of magic people, werewolves, and other magical folk in this world. And that's basically the plot synopsis of the whole story. But how the whole podcast sort of run is sort of like they start an interview but do improv, but at the same time they add sort of like a storyline into the improv, so they have a sort of direction to actually go. But because how this sort of become really successful, they decided to adapt to this in anime series. Now, to be clear, I have never heard of this podcast. Yeah, I'm not sure, or I read this an article in the deadline that never described this to be more mature adult or be something like an adventure time for a young family audience. I mean, honestly, I don't know. In fact, if anyone heard about this podcast, this is sort of like a mature thing or sort of like an adventure time sort of territory. But besides that, they will be calling on people from who work on SNL and College Humor. Those type of companies will typically work on this project. Of course, we don't know, or actually the article doesn't state that it could be on Netflix, Hulu, or anything. For right now, they're just working on the animated series. But because of that, it just sort of make it interesting. I'm 100% sure some of you thinking that's sort of weird. Not really. This is like the second, at least I know, because I know HBO Max or Warner Brothers adapting another podcast like a year ago or something like that I've not heard any updates, but posted that podcast to sort of follow two gay friends falling in love, but first time they hate each other. And that's like an old news article that was a long time ago that I've not heard anything about it for right now. But just give you an idea, this is not the first time. In fact, believe it or not, they adapt a lot of weird things over the years. It just depends how popular it really is. And this new anime series sounds kind of fun. It feels, oh, this how I read is a bunch of adventures just interviewing different magical folk who try not to die. And that's basically it. It sounds fun because it's just a comical sort of out there kind of thing, something like Adventure Time or Esta Machina. I'm all in. In fact, that's another good example. Esta Machina from Prime. They actually were not a podcast. It's just sort of a very famous team, D&D, who just played the game so many times. It just was so good and popular that it adapted to a anime series. If you've seen that anime series, how good and fun it is, this could be the same thing. We just honestly don't know. It's all about the execution of it. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully we get announced where actually will be streaming at. Hope we just hope now. It's these things you don't know because easy you turn bad if they have bad writers or they have an idea but it doesn't really make sense in the anime series. It's something that you give or take, in other words. But besides that, are you a fan about this project? Are you prepared for this anime series? Tell me down below. Let me know. Now let's talk about our next segment. Now this segment was basically the last segment of this cartoon breaking news. It's all about a new book of Amphibia. It's basically an art book by the creator and team who left a lot of things on the table. Some of the stories, some of the art, some of the location they wanted to put, but they just couldn't. He also some little more detail of the creation of Amphibia. Well, actually, was not the first book they do of Amphibia. This is the second book. The first book, I basically one the three main leads. A journal. This is sort of just the art book of everything, but a little bit more stories and sort of interviews in the creation of Amphibia. And in fact, you can actually order a new this book on November 19, 2024, and also they have a price. I have it right here, $49.99 pre-order in November 19th. If you want actually this book, if you're also a fan of Amphibia, I guess they're doing this because they're realizing there's still fans there. They still want to buy stuff from Amphibia. Yeah, I've noticed something very interesting. Nowadays, every time they have a sort of adult fan base or teen fan base, they will buy everything. And that's sort of the problem with making animation, that you don't know who to sell it to. That you make for kids, but sometimes the adult fans and teen fans want to also buy stuff. And little by little, I have noticed they just tempted to sell books, and that actually sells pretty well. So well that it's now experimenting more of this. This is not the first series. This is the second series next to Star Versus. That's also book and Villainous. That right now we have about close to having 7 books. Even that show only have half a season. Just show you how books really do sell based on not fan of shows that is very popular. Even that sort of delayed or ended, they still sell it. So I'm guessing they're understanding what to sell. Basically becoming sort of Japan, that selling certain specific things that actually help the project or the show they're doing. Hoping they do learn a lesson. Hoping that these will be equally successful. They buy more books. In fact, they also did another book from Gravity Falls. I think they did 2 books or 1 book or something, but I'm noticing that they're trying to sell more books and actually it's becoming more successful. Hopefully it becomes a trend. Each own show gets at least 2 to 3 books, some more lore, more story. But once again, instead of figuring out how it actually doing, it's little by little they're realizing maybe we sell more books so we can support the project. But once again, that's hopefully just one way to support the series. That effect, if you like the book or waiting for the art book, tell me down below, or you're not really interested. Now, that's all I can say. This is sort of the end of my cartoon breaking news. Just ask one question. Do I actually miss anything important from a cartoon news? Do you think I should actually report it? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.